Come ride the little train that is rolling down the tracks to the junction. Forget about your cares, it is time to relax at the junction. Lots of curves, you bet, and even more when you get to the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
There's a little hotel called the Shady Rest at the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
It is run by Kate. Come and be her guest at the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
And that's Uncle Joe. He's a moving kind of slow at the junction. Peoticoat Junction.
Are we bothering you, Mom?
Oh, not a bit. I love working on the books with the record player going full blast with 4 teenage kangaroos dancing the Hooterville Hop.
Well, we're just practicing for the dance next week.
Well, come on, Mrs. Bradley, do the hop with us.
Oh, not now, kids. I think I got it worked out. See, 22 and 11, 34. Yep, there it is.
Mom, 22 and 11 are 33, not 34.
Yeah, but 34 makes the books balance. You gotta know when to leave well enough alone.
Mom, a honeymoon couple just got off the train. They're on their way up.
A honeymoon couple? How do you... No.
Well, he called her Dreamboat, and she called him Poopsie, and then they kissed and said, yum, yum.
You're right, they're honeymooners.
Boy, customers. Well, what about their luggage? Uncle Joe's getting it.
You check out the bridal suite. You get out the good silver and alert the kitchen staff. That's me.
Can we help, Mrs. Bradley?
But we could use some kindling for the fireplace. Do you boys like to chop wood?
Well,
Boys.
We'd love to.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to the Shady Rest. Oh, Emily. Kate! Emily Hoskins! Oh, of all people!
Oh, now it's Emily Mapes of all people. Kate, this is Avery, my husband. We on a honeymoon.
Betty, you were right. How do you do it? Years of experience.
So nice to meet you, Avery. You Georgia peaches. You always did get the pick of the crop.
Well, thank you.
You know, Emily and I have been friends ever since she'd left the magnolia blossoms and honeysuckle country and moved here to go to school. Do you know how long ago that was? Well, it was at least... Well, let me put it this way. So you kids are on your honeymoon. Congratulations.
Well, thank you, Kate. And I'll let you in on a little secret. Even at our age, marriage is exciting. The only problem is, now when I carry my bride over the threshold, I need help.
Don't look at me, I only carry luggage.
Well, darling, I'll go on upstairs and start to unpack. You and Kate must have a lot to talk about.
About 20 years worth, darling. Oh, Kate, you don't know how wonderful it is to see you again after all these years.
It's wonderful to see you too, Emily. Well, enough of the small talk. How did you meet him? How did he get you to fall for him? How did he get you to marry him? And how come it took you so long?
Avery is quite a man, isn't he?
Well, strictly from a spectator's point of view, I'd say yes. Tell me what happened.
Oh, we met at a church social last year. He was a widower and I was a widow, and we were both lonely, and the first thing we knew, we were married. And you know something, Kate? It could happen to you, too.
Me? No. I got children to raise, and I'm busy working 24 hours a day running this hotel. Besides, I think I'm too old to think about romance.
I had children to raise, too, and I was busy myself running that dry goods store Warren left me. And if you tell anybody, I'll deny it, but I happen to be 7 months older than you.
Oh, I never think about age, but you happen to be 8 months old. Anyhow, I don't think I'm as romantically inclined as you Southern belles.
Okay, it has nothing to do with geography. It has to do with being a woman.
Yeah, I know you mean well, Emily, but I know what's best for me, okay?
Kate, I don't know what I'm going to do with you. Even in school, you were a stubborn young kid.
Oh, I've changed plenty.
Sure you have. Now you are a stubborn old kid. But I'm not giving up on you. If you remember, there was one kid in school that was even more stubborn than you.
I remember. You.
Right.
Well, then why not? You were older.
Billy Joe, could I talk to you for a minute?
Sure. Hey, come on and join us.
No, thanks. You see...
Come on, it's fun.
Oh, okay. Say, this is fun.
It's called the Hooterville Hop. What do you want to talk about, Mrs. Mapes?
Your mother, she has a problem with men.
What's that, Mrs. Mapes?
I said your mother, she has a problem with men.
Mrs. Bradley? Men?
Which man?
Oh, let's go up to my room. If we're going to talk about Mom's private life, let's do it where it's not quite so public. Gee, Mrs. Mapes, if Mom's unhappy, she sure doesn't act like it. She's so full of fun, and she's always laughing and kidding around. That's right. Mom's one of the happiest people you ever saw.
Now, yes, while she has you girls for company. But how's she going to be in 3 or 4 years when you've all gone off someplace and got married?
3 or 4 years? Who's going to wait that long?
My point, exactly. It could happen tomorrow.
Yeah. You know, Mrs. Mapes is right, Billy. When we're gone, it's just going to be Mom and Uncle Joe.
And how many games of checkers can she play?
Poor Mom. Why don't you talk to her, Mrs. Mapes?
I've tried. I love your mom just like you do, but she won't listen to me. Your mother is, shall we say, strong-willed.
We just say she's stubborn.
If she's going to find that road to happiness, you girls are going to have to help her.
You mean help her in the direction of the right man?
Exactly. So it's up to you.
All right. I suggest we go straight to Mom and make her change her mind about finding a man. Oh, you gotta be kidding. Us make Mom change her mind? Sweet, lovable, muley Mom. Oh, come on now. She'll listen to reason. Sure she will. So you do the talking. Me? Wait a minute now. You know how muley Mom is. It's too late. You're stuck. I second the sticking.
Keep talking, Bobby Joe. Your suggestion is very interesting.
Billy Joe and Betty Joe didn't think you'd listen, but I knew that if the facts were properly pointed out, you'd want to get interested in a man. Because, you see, we've decided what you should do with your life.
I see.
And I was elected to make the suggestion. I have another suggestion. Go ahead, but this one better get off the ground. Well, since the direct approach doesn't seem to work with Mom, and I speak from bitter experience, I say we trick her. Hey, you're right. We'll have her walking arm in arm with the right man before she even knows she shook hands with him. And we'll find him. How? Mom's not going to go out and try to hook a man on her own, and there are no fish in these waters. So what we've got to do is stock the pond. Hey, that's a wonderful idea. I still say, why do we have to find eligible traveling salesmen when we have plenty of bachelors in our neck of the woods? Sure, except we went over the entire list, and every single one of them are either under 17 or over 70. Uncle Joe, have you heard the cannonball whistle yet?
Not yet. What are you girls aiming to do?
We're going to prove it takes 4 to make a marriage.
4?
Sure, an available widow and 3 anxious daughters.
Wait a minute. Do my ears deceive me? Are you girls trying to find a man for your mother?
Sure, Uncle Joe. We've got to help her build a bright, happy future.
What are you talking about? Your mother's the happiest woman in the world.
Now, yes. But what's it going to be like for her when we're gone?
That's no problem. We'll just play more checkers together.
Oh, Uncle Joe, we know you'll try to make her happy, but she'll need more in her life than checkers.
Okay, on weekends we'll play cribbage.
The cannonball's here, come on! Char! Goodbye, Uncle Joe, and when we get back, we'll be loaded with marriage bait.
Wait, girls. Wait, what you're doing is dangerous. Wait. Crazy kids stirring up trouble. Bring some strange men around here. The first thing you know, one of them will take Kate walking in the moonlight and whisper sweet nothings in her ear. Low-down skunk like that's just after one thing. My job.
Look, we've got to work fast. The cannonball's due in 5 minutes, and the salesmen are beginning to arrive. Ah, there's some likely-looking fish in that school. But they won't stop at the Shady Rest. On the weekend, all the salesmen like to go on through to Pixley. Sure, there's more to do there.
I know, but at the Shady Rest, there's so much less to pay. Now then, this weekend only, all rates will be cut in half for attractive, middle-aged bachelors and widowers. That'll get them.
But, Mom, it'd never stand for that.
Well, she'll never know about it. We'll make up the difference ourselves. Now, how much have you got?
$6. But I've been saving up for a permanent at the beauty shop.
Well, what's more important, a new hairstyle or your mother's happiness?
In the future, don't call me Curly. Well, here's my $10. And who wanted that adorable new green sweater anyhow?
Oh, good. With this plus my $9, we can stake Mom to a nice, wide selection. Come on. Pardon me, sir, but how would you like to spend a delightful weekend at a breathtakingly beautiful resort hotel for a mere fraction of the usual rates?
That sounds great.
It is, if you qualify.
Qualify?
Yes, sir. Are you married?
No.
Then you qualify.
Sounds wonderful.
Oh, it is. That is, if you qualify. Are you married?
Well, yes, I am.
Oh, I'm sorry. You don't qualify.
I've been a bachelor all my life.
You qualify.
Oh, pardon me, sir, but how would you like to spend a fun-filled weekend at a lively resort hotel? And if you qualify, you... Reverend Mims! Hi there. How's Mrs. Mims and all the little Mimses?
Just fine, thank you, just fine. Billy Joe Bradley, what's all this about a fun-filled weekend at a resort hotel?
Oh, nothing at all. I was just kidding around. Reverend, it was very nice talking to you, and I'm looking forward to hearing your sermon next week.
Yes, that might be a good idea.
Pardon me, sir, but how would you like to spend a fun-filled weekend at a breathtaking hotel?
This is it, gentlemen. The Shady Rest Hotel. Go right on up the hill. That's where you'll find your hostess for the weekend, the charming and attractive widow, Kate Bradley. Don't be bashful. Talk to her. She's very friendly. And not only that...
Yeah, quite a place. I hope the beds are good. Yeah, here we go. Thank you.
How do you do?
Gee, that's a great-looking lineup of hot prospects.
And eligible. Every hand-picked one of them.
How in the world did you get them here?
American know-how.
Well, however you did it, and I'm proud of you. Now, if your mother will just show some... Isn't this wonderful, all these new guests?
They're all men.
And all single.
What's that?
I mean, they look like wonderful guests. Every single one of them.
Oh, well, I gotta go fix dinner.
Oh, no, Mom, we'll do that. You're going to be too busy entertaining the guests.
I am?
Mm-hmm. Well, sure, Mom. We haven't had this many guests in such a long time. And you've got to make sure that they feel right at home.
I do? Of course you do, Kate. But you're not going to do it in that dress. I'm not? Well, no, certainly not, darling. You come on upstairs with me. I have a knockout of a dress for you. It's an original from Cleveland. What's wrong with this dress? Oh, it's all right, Kate. It just isn't you.
Keep your fingers crossed. Operation Manpower is underway.
How does she look? All I can say is I'm glad I met Avery first. She's putting the finishing touches on now. She'll be right down.
Well, good evening, Miss Bradley. You know, I got to admit you're right. This hotel is loaded with charm.
Well, if you think the hotel is loaded with charm, wait till you see the lady who runs it.
Good evening, Kate Bradley. I'm everybody. I mean, good evening, everybody. Well, you all know who you are.
Kate, you look lovely.
Lovely isn't the word for it.
Oh, well,
Right. The word is wow.
oh, you're...
Good evening, Mrs. Bradley. I'm Wilbur Spriggs. I'm in farm equipment.
I'm Grover Woodstock. I'm in hay and grain.
Well, I'm in luck to have such charming gentlemen as my weekend guests.
My name's Tom Hartley, and it's a great pleasure to be the guest of such a charming lady.
Thank you.
Just look at Mom, Uncle Joe. Isn't it wonderful?
Wonderful. Ridiculous. Flock of middle-aged roosters crowing over the only chick in the barnyard.
Oh, Uncle Joe, let her enjoy herself. After all this time, her sociable instincts are beginning to show.
You know, small wonder in that dress.
Dinner is served. Come on and get it, everybody.
May I escort you into dinner, Mrs. Bradley?
Well,
Now, just a minute. I thought I was to have the pleasure.
Please, let's not overlook the delegate from the hay and grain business.
Well, gentlemen, I have an idea. Why don't we all go in together?
Oh, well, that's all very good.
Come on, Uncle Joe, let's go eat.
Oh, you go ahead, Billy Joe. I ain't hungry. Get my appetite back in the morning when I get rid of them fortune-hunting vultures.
Come in.
I'm a house detective, Bulldog Carson. Up here to put a stop to the carryings-on you've been carrying on.
What's that?
Now listen, this is a respectable hotel. And we don't put up with mashers like you pestering the elderly lady that owns this place.
Oh, folly.
The complaint is you've been following her.
Hey, hold on. I don't know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. Mrs. Bradley, the heavily made-up woman with the gray hair. Oh, I forgot this week she's a blonde again.
Now, wait a minute.
We're on to your type, you low-down gigolo. Take my advice. The next train goes through here in 20 minutes. Be on it.
Look, if you don't get out of here, I'm gonna...
You and the rest of them scoundrels better be gone pronto. Remember, I'm packing a blackjack here and a heater here. You're not messing with kids, you know. This here is Bulldog Carson himself.
Come on, Bulldog, back to the kennel. Mr. Woodstock, I don't know what's been going round in my uncle's head, if anything, but please accept my apologies.
Oh, that's all right, Mrs. Bradley. I should have expected it. This whole deal was wacky from the start. Am I married or single? Reduced rates for bachelors and widowers? It's beyond me.
Married or single, reduced rates for bachelors? Why, those little rascals.
They sure are, Kate. All them others and this one, too.
No, Uncle Joe, not them, the girls. Why, they cooked up this whole thing to push me into romance.
I could have told you that, Kate. I got an eye like a hawk.
A minute ago, you were a bulldog. Mr. Woodstock, would you mind meeting me on the porch in an hour?
Sure, Mrs. Bradley, but...
I'll round up the other gentlemen. We'll have a little powwow. Together, we'll strike a blow for the older generation. Come on, Uncle Joe.
Okay, Woodstock, I'm through with you. You can go back to sleep now.
Come on.
You ought to see what goes on in our house. I live with my sister and her teenage daughters, and they've been making all my important decisions for years.
Now, my children are married and scattered all over the country, so they're forced to run my life by long-distance telephone. Collect.
So then you understand what I'm talking about.
Of course we do.
And you'll go along with what I want to do tonight.
Oh, you bet.
Boy, it changed my mind about you. Any group of grown men who's scared to death of teenagers can't be all bad.
Say, where do you suppose Mother's been hiding all day?
I don't know, but I sure hope she's out with those fellas. That'd be great. I hope she's been out with just one of them. That'd be even greater.
Yeah. Hey, you know that tall one with the gray hair? I think he's really attractive.
Girls, come quick. Your mom's gone plumb love loony.
Oh, Uncle Joe, what's wrong with her?
What happened, Uncle Joe?
It's too brain-shattering to describe. You'll have to come to the lobby and see for yourselves.
Uncle Joe!
Oh, Uncle Joe, what were you talking about?
Mom isn't even here. Yes, where is she?
Whoopee! Happy New Year, boys. Did you miss me? I'm good looking. Say, what kind of a party is this? I want dancing, singing, revelry.
Atta girl, Kate. Anything you say.
Thanks, doll. Now, which one of you handsome, eligible gentlemen is going to get me some of that punch? How about you, Grover, honey? You're cute. You're not so bad either, tall, gray, and boy, would you make a great husband.
It looks like Mom, and it sounds like Mom.
But it's gotta be somebody else.
You're okay, Katie, baby.
You too, Wilbur. You're Rudolph Valentina with a crew cut. Ooh, and those eyes. They're dreamy.
Can that be Mom? Our Mom? Sweet, wise, level-headed, sensible Mom?
It is. But there's nothing to worry about.
Nothing to worry about.
No, you see, we're all having the same nightmare. Pinch yourself, you'll see. Ouch. Darn it. Come on, we better try and talk to her.
Oh, you fascinating rascal. Sit down here.
Mom, can we talk to you for a minute?
What'd you have in your mind, youngster?
Some other place, Mom.
Yeah, like outside, about 5 miles away.
Stand back, party poopers. Let your mother enjoy herself.
Please, Mother.
You were right. This is the good life. You know, if I weren't having so much fun, I'd spank you for not having told me about it before. Come on, Tom. Start tickling those ivories. Loud and fast.
You got it, Katie, baby.
That's my kind of music, the Hooterville Hop. Come on, everybody, let's hop. Come on.
Mom, please listen to us.
Whoopee! Do the Hooterville Hop and hop all the way to Pixley.
But don't drag. That's it.
Oh, you boys are good.
Mom's not acting at all the way we planned.
She sure is unfair. Girls, we've created a spruced up, permanent wave, glamorous Frankenstein.
How am I doing, Grover?
Great. And the way your girls look now, they wouldn't try to tell you how to run your life if you got on your hands and knees and begged them.
Oh, now you got it. Swing it. Come on, it's my turn. Come on. Oh, this is very good.
Good evening, Mr. Carson.
Even Reverend Mims.
What's all that noise in there?
Well, Kate and me and some of the guests. Reverend Mims.
Yes, I just happened to be in the neighborhood, and I thought I'd drop by and see how you're all getting along.
Oh, well, we're just getting along fine. Nice of you to ask. Well, be seeing you around. Good night.
Katie, you're the greatest.
Whoopee! Come on, fellas, let's make this place jump.
Mr. Carson, just what is going on in there?
Would you believe it if I told you Kate and the guests were rehearsing for the Hooterville Barbershop Quartet contest?
No.
I didn't think so. Would you believe it if I told you?
Mr. Carson, your niece is one of the best liked and most respected women in this community. Now, if there's something wrong in there, I want to help.
Reverend Mims. How nice of you to drop in. What's new? I'm glad you're so understanding, Reverend Mims, but I guess a man in your work must run into this sort of thing fairly often.
Fairly often. Every day. I've got 4 teenagers of my own.
It all worked out great. The girls know once and for all that Kate ain't interested in finding a man, right, Kate?
Wrong. I'll be interested when the right man comes along, but I'm going to do my own finding.
Well, tell me, Mrs. Bradley, do you think your trick worked? Will your girls stop trying to run your life?
Oh, sure. It cost me a crick in the back and blisters on my feet, but they're going to leave me alone from now on.
Yeah, they're cured all right. You can take my word for it.
Mom, if you're going to stand out here like this, you need a sweater.
I'm fine.
Mom, please, put it on.
I'm fine.
Mom, now put that sweater on. You're gonna...
Girls, I think I'm old enough to know when I need a sweater.
Junction. This has been a Filmways presentation.
Come ride the little train that is rolling down the tracks to the junction. Forget about your cares, it is time to relax at the junction. Lots of curves, you bet, and even more when you get to the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
There's a little hotel called the Shady Rest at the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
It is run by Kate. Come and be her guest at the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
And that's Uncle Joe. He's a moving kind of slow at the junction. Peoticoat Junction.
Please, Mr. Carson, be careful with the drum. My dad doesn't even know we borrowed it.
Don't worry, Sally. Now, you lovely little moneymakers run upstairs and get changed.
Gee, Uncle Joe, I sure hope Mom goes for this.
You leave your mother to me. Just be ready to make your entrance when I announce you.
Mr. Carson, how about my mother?
One at a time, Sally. We'll cross your mother when we get to her. Give me that mop, Kate. Your scrubbing days are over.
Oh, thank goodness. I thought you'd never get back. Where you been all day?
Bixley?
Yeah, it didn't take you that long to make the payment at the bank.
Well, the girl's done some shopping. Kate, your dishwashing days are over.
Oh, well, thank you. I was just... What was that again?
I said your dishwashing days are over.
No, up ahead. Something about the girls shopping.
Kate, take off your apron
How
and sit
could the
down.
girls do any shopping? You just had enough money to make the payment at the bank.
Sit down, Kate.
Uncle Joe, you did make the payment at the bank. We're not going to lose the hotel.
Lose the hotel? Someday you're going to laugh at that question.
Right now, I'll settle for not crying. Did you make the payment?
Hurry up, girls. We're ready.
Joe, look me in the eye.
Which one?
Joe, we're ready.
They're ready, Kate.
Ready for what?
Sit down.
I don't want to sit down. What are they ready for?
They're ready to show you what happens when a man thinks big. They're ready to show you how we're all going to become millionaires. All right, girls, you can make your entrance.
Wait till I sit down.
Introducing the new international singing sensation, the Ladybugs.
I don't believe it.
Wait till you hear them sing, Kate. Hit it, Ladybugs.
Oh, I'll be your, yeah, I'll be your lady, yeah, I'll be your ladybug, yeah, I'll fly with you. If only you, yeah, if only you, yeah, if only you will be my beetle. Oh, I'll be your, yeah, I'll be your lady, yeah, I'll be your ladybug, yeah, I'll fly with you. If only you, yeah, if only you, yeah, if only you will be my beetle.
Hold it, hold it, hold it. I'm going to faint. I know it. I'm going to faint dead away.
See, girls? I told you people would swoon.
I said faint, not swoon. Uncle Joe, what have you done with my 4 beautiful daughters? Just a minute. 4? Who are you?
She's Ringo. I'm I'm Ringo.
You're all Ringo. And you are the biggest Ringo of the bunch.
The Ladybugs is going to sweep the country.
They're going to sweep this hotel from attic to basement. And they're going to do it with lease. Sally Rackstein.
Hi, Mrs. Bradley. I want to thank you and your daughters and Uncle Joe for letting me become a millionaire with you.
Is that where the bank payment money went for these crazy wigs and those bug shirts?
But, Mom, like Uncle Joe says, you've got to start thinking big.
I am thinking big. I am thinking of the biggest thing I can lay my hands on to break over his head.
Kate, we've been out of touch with the world.
Gee, Mom, being stuck out here in the country, we don't know what's going on.
Especially on television. When we got into Pixley this morning, the whole town was talking about the Beatles.
The Beatles?
They came over from England.
They're the biggest things in the country.
Well, don't just stand there. Take off those crazy wigs and help me get up the screen.
Hold it, Mom.
Kate, the Beatles was brought over here by Ed Sullivan.
I saw them on his television show. They're wonderful. They sing and play musical instruments.
Beatles?
I started their Pixley fan club. They sent me a picture.
No wonder they call themselves the Beatles. Those are four of the homeliest girls I ever saw.
Oh, Mom. Mrs. Bradley, they're boys.
Don't they have barbers in England?
Mom, that's part of their charm. Isn't Ringo a doll?
Oh, stop that.
Kate, the girls always do that when they see the Beatles.
They're the biggest things in show business.
Until the Ladybugs come along. Kate, go get yourself all spruced up. A big booking agent's coming from over by Springfield to Ogilvy Act.
To what?
That's showbiz talk.
He means he's coming to watch us perform.
It's an audition, and we're going to sing.
Oh, well, help me clean up the kitchen and then change it some nice clothes and start rehearsing some pretty songs.
Mom, these are the clothes we're going to wear, and you heard the song we're going to sing.
That was the song? And these are clothes?
You think we'll get hired?
You're lucky if you don't get sprayed.
Mom, it's all the rage. It's the new sound.
You mean instead of music?
But don't knock it, Kate. It's going to make us all rich.
Right, rich. Just
Agencies,
Oh, I get it. Now I get it, stupid me. I should have known. Oh, Ladybugs and Beatles. You really had me going there for a while. Oh, this is the funniest April Fool joke you ever pulled. But no wonder I bit. You're a week early. Well, joke's over. Uncle Joe, put the bank receipt in the safe. And girls, you get your clothes changed. We have a lot of work to do before supper. And Sally, you're invited to join us. For supper, too. Yeah, Uncle Joe? This is an April Fool gag, right?
Well, girls, give us another sample of that Ladybug beat.
Oh, I'll be your, yeah, yeah, I'll be your lady, yeah, yeah, I'll be your ladybug, yeah, yeah, I'll fly with you. If only you.
Why, darned if I didn't almost fall for it again. Uncle Joe, you got a wonderful sense of humor. Oh, it's a great gag.
Oh, I'll be your, yeah, yeah, I'll be your lady, yeah, I'll be your ladybug, yeah, yeah, I'll fly with you. If only you, yeah, yeah, if only you, yeah, yeah, if only you will be my Beatles.
Boy, we sure bombed with your mother. She thinks we're a gag.
Well, Sally, Mom isn't exactly what you'd call hip. Yeah, her idea of a real swinging group is Guy Lombardo.
Well, Mom doesn't have much chance to sharpen up. There's no television here. She doesn't have any boyfriend to take her to shows and things. How's she supposed to get cool?
Well, we've got a TV set, and my mom's still square. When she saw those dreamy Beatles on Ed Sullivan, she just sat there.
She didn't scream or yell or anything.
Oh, yeah, she screamed and yelled at me to turn the volume down. She couldn't wait for the Beatles to finish so she could see Ed Sullivan again.
Wow.
To my mother, Ed Sullivan is Cary Grant.
I can't believe it.
You haven't seen my father.
How did he like the Beatles?
He thought they were a gag till he saw all the girls squealing and swooning.
Hey, maybe that would convince Mom.
Oh, I doubt if any girls would swoon at us.
The fellas might. If we could get a bunch of good-looking fellas to come here when we audition for that agent.
Yeah. And that'd convince that agent, too. What do you think, Sally?
I didn't hear anything after a bunch of good-looking fellas.
How are we gonna get a bunch of fellas out here? We can ride into town on the cannonball.
Hey, are Charlie and Floyd still here?
Yeah, they've loaded up with wood. Now they're taking on water. Well, let's hurry up and change.
Oh, wait a minute. We can't all go into town and look for boys. Somebody has to stay here and help Mom.
Who'd like to volunteer?
I will.
Oh, that's great, Billy.
great.
It's wonderful.
I'm glad to do it. I'll be back by the time you finish the supper dishes.
Wait a minute. I meant who'd volunteer to stay, not go into town.
Somebody better hurry up and go.
So long, girls. Don't work too hard.
Aren't you two ashamed, you lazy bones, still in that April Fool getup? Well, you gonna let your sister do all the work?
Oh, go easy on them, Mom. They're just kids.
Oh, thank you, sweetie. You go on down.
Okay, Mom, I will. So long, lazy bones.
Why can't you two have that kind of get up and go?
'Cause she got up and went first.
Don't you be flip, young lady. Bug. Oh, come on, you two now. Get changing down to the kitchen, both of you. Scoot. I hope those two haven't been a bad influence on you, Sally.
No, not at all, Mrs. Bradley.
Billy Joe has her faults. Goodness knows she's boy crazy. But there is a girl who's going someplace.
Yep. There she goes.
What you looking at, dear?
Cannon Billy. The cannonball. Well, I better change these clothes. I know how they bug you.
Well, Mr. Sullivan, you've seen the ladybugs? What am I offering? 10,000, huh? I'll take it. Now, how much for the ladybugs?
Uncle Joe, would you please tell me what's going on around here? I just found every single light turned on upstairs. Why are you wearing this crazy getup? You got a sore throat?
No, Kate. These are showbiz clothes. You didn't turn them lights out up there, did you?
Well, of course I turned them out. There wasn't a single soul in any of those rooms.
Well, I had them on so that big agent could find his way here from the county road. It's dark out.
I think that this gag has gone far enough.
Work's all finished, Mom.
Hurry upstairs and change into your ladybug outfits. And turn them lights back on up there.
Don't you dare. And where's Billy Joe?
Well, if you ask me, she's with the boy. If you ask me, she's with a bunch of boys.
If you ask me, I hope it's a big bunch.
Uncle Joe, what are they talking about?
Don't try to understand this younger generation, Kate. We've gone off and left you.
We?
Yeah, I've kept up with the kids. I'm what they call cold.
That's cool. And you're what they call nuts. What are you doing now?
I'm getting ready for a very important phone call.
That phone isn't connected. It never has been connected. What in the world
Kate, don't try to understand.
Oh, that's the last thing I'd try to do. Now what?
I gotta go signal that booking agent. He's stumbling around somewhere out there in the woods looking for the ladybug.
Is this the Shady Rest Hotel?
Yeah. You Partridge, the booking agent?
Colonel Partridge of Springfield.
Joe Carson, Hollywood, Chicago, New York.
Say, what in blue blazes you doing out here in the middle of nowhere?
Hiding from them crazy teenage ladybug fans. Why, if they found this place, they'd mob us.
I know what you mean. You know, I was at the airport when those Beatles landed, and I want to tell you, I was knocked down and put near saddle shoot to death. I tell you, I'd sure like to get 10% of that Beatle action.
Don't worry, Colonel. My ladybug's gonna make them Beatles look like chiggers. 4 of the most beautiful, talented girls you ever saw.
Well, trot them on out. I'm a busy man. I ain't got all night. Say, is she one of them?
Oh, no. She runs the place. I pay her to hide them.
Uncle Joe, that one?
See that I'm not disturbed.
It's too late. You're about as disturbed as they come. Who's he?
Colonel Partridge, ma'am. I come all the way from Springfield to see the sensational new singing act Mr. Carson here told me about, the Ladybugs.
Oh, no.
It's all right, Miss Bradley. I've cleared him. He's okay.
Yes, ma'am. I am the biggest booking agent in these parts.
And he's the biggest liar.
Yeah, what's going on here?
Just the necessary security measures. Good work, Mrs. Bradley. Don't trust anybody.
Mrs.
Not
Bradley?
anybody. Why, he could have been Ed Sullivan in disguise. Please, Kate. There's a cannonball. Billy's back.
What do you mean Billy's back? Where's she been?
Never mind, Kate. Just give me 10 minutes to make you rich. That's all I'm asking. Just 10 minutes.
All right, 10 minutes. And then I'm throwing a net over you.
That's my New York phone call. That's our range, one long. Yes? Hello? Ed Sullivan? Why, you old bird dog, how'd you find me?
Now, wait a minute. You said I was going to handle the Ladybugs. No direct booking, you said.
Okay. Hello, Ed. Colonel Partridge is here, and he's signing the Ladybugs tonight. Yeah, he'll call you the first thing in the morning.
Wait a minute. Why wait? I'll talk to him now. Ed is an old friend of mine. Hello, Eddie. Listen, hey, this is the Colonel, buddy. Hello? Hello there. You there, boy? Eddie, talk to me, huh? Hello? Hello, Ed. Hello there.
You and Ed are good friends, huh? Why'd he hang up on you?
Maybe he didn't hang up. Maybe that wasn't Ed Sullivan at all. Maybe you, lying to the Colonel, huh?
Now, wait a minute. Nobody talks to Joe Carson that way.
Oh, they don't, huh?
You pretty near ruined my cigar.
Now, you listen to me, chubby man. I come a long way down here to this broken-down hotel, and I'm going to give you to the count of 3 to bring on those Ladybugs. And they better be good, or your head is going to look just like that cigar. 1.
We want the Ladybugs. We want the Ladybugs. We want the Ladybugs. We want the Ladybugs. We want the Ladybugs.
Get them! Now control yourselves!
Doggone it, the teenagers found us.
Yeah!
We want the Ladybugs. 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 We want the Ladybugs.
We want the Ladybugs. We want the Ladybugs. We want the Ladybugs. We want the Ladybugs. We want the Ladybugs. We want the Ladybugs.
Paul Henderson, stop acting like an idiot.
Mrs. Bradley, I don't think he's acting.
Oh, take him out in the fresh air. I'll go get some water.
Well, Colonel, what'd you think of the Ladybugs?
Why, that's the worst music I ever heard.
What do you mean?
Oh, they're out of tune. The harmony is all wrong. They're too loud. That monotonous beat's gonna drive the people stark staring crazy.
You mean you ain't gonna book them?
Of course I'm gonna book them. They're gonna make us a fortune. We'll take them to Springfield tonight. That's my booking headquarters.
Colonel, I'm so sorry that Uncle Joe dragged you all the way out here to listen to that terrible racket.
Kate.
And I apologize for the girls, too, and their little friend.
Kate.
And I just hope you're not too angry.
Kate, he's gonna take the Ladybugs back to Springfield to headquarters and book them.
What? Now, see here, what the girls did might have been bad music, but it's nothing to get arrested for.
No, little lady, you got it all wrong. I'm gonna book them in theaters and on a TV. Personal appearances all over the country. And then we're gonna start rocking the rest of the world.
Is he serious?
You can start counting your money, Kate. I'll go tell the girls.
Mr. Partridge.
Colonel, ma'am.
Colonel. I just don't think my girls should be going all around the world. They're not ready for that sort of thing.
Well, now, little lady, as their manager, I think they are.
As a mother, I don't.
Mother? Begging your pardon, ma'am, but I I find that kind of hard to believe.
What do you mean?
Well, now, you look like hardly more than a teenager yourself. And you're very pretty, too. You should be in the movies.
You know something, Colonel?
What's that, little lady?
You're nuttier than Uncle Joe. Here, drink this and sniff this, and maybe it'll bring you round.
Colonel, I'm afraid there's going to be a little delay before I can deliver the ladybugs.
What do you mean?
Well, Sally's father's out there, and he doesn't want her to be a ladybug. He wants her to finish high school.
Yeah, how square can you get?
Ah, you leave your pop on me, little lady. I'll set him straight. Mr. Ragsdale.
That's Sheriff Ragsdale. What's on your mind?
Well, I was just saying that you're absolutely right about your daughter. Her education comes first.
Fine. You run upstairs, Sally, and put on some decent clothes.
That's right, child. You listen to your papa. Run along. That's a nice little girl you got there, Sheriff. A mighty smart girl.
Where's Kate?
She went that way. Well, there goes a bundle of money.
Well, not yet, Colonel. I promised you the ladybugs. When Joe Carson makes a promise, he delivers.
Oh, I'll be your, yeah, I'll be your lady. I'll find you. Will be my baby. Oh, I'll be your, yeah, I'll be your lady. I'll be your, I'll fly with If only you will be my beetle.
Peoticoat Junction. This has been a Filmways presentation.
Come ride the little train that is rolling down the tracks to the junction. Forget about your cares, it is time to relax at the junction. Lots of curves, you bet, and even more when you get to the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
There's a little hotel called the Shady Rest at the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
It is run by Kate. Come and be her guest at the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
And that's Uncle Joe. He's a moving kind of slow at the junction. Peoticoat Junction.
There you are, Joe. Just like Kate would have picked if she'd been here to buy it herself.
Sam, I just told you while Kate's in Groverdale visiting her sick Aunt Winifred, I'm doing the buying and the deciding. I'll take that one.
Well, Joe, those are identical to the one I just gave you.
That one.
Okay, Joe.
That's better. This one's in good shape.
Hey, you old fox, you really got the best one out of me that time, didn't you?
Well, how much you want for this little beauty, Sam, old boy?
$1.25.
$1.25 for a washboard? Why, for that money, it ought to have a motor on it.
About ready to go, Joe?
I'll be along in a minute, Floyd, soon as we straighten out a little price problem.
Well, hurry up. The cannonball's ready to pull out.
Make you an offer, 50 cents.
Why didn't you ask me the price sooner, Joe? You know you get much more fun out of the haggling than you do out of the buying.
Now, you know that ain't true, Sam. Well?
Well, what?
Ain't you gonna make me a counter offer?
Okay, Joe. How's about $1.20?
6 bits, not a nickel more.
Nothing doing.
Try $1 even.
Okay, $1 even it is.
Nothing doing. My top price is 90 cents.
There you are, Joe. Congratulations.
What's this?
That's Drucker's special secret prize of the day. You just won it. You're now officially Hooterville's #1 haggler.
Oh, now that's a lot of nonsense, Sam. Let's get back to business. I just made you an offer of 90 cents. What do you say?
I say, if you work at it a little bit, you could be the #1 haggler in the whole county.
90 cents.
Sold. Let's have the money.
Charge it.
Charge it?
Let's mark it under protest. What do you got here, Sam?
Men's hats. They're on special.
We can get together on price, I might buy one.
Come on, Joe. What's holding you up?
I'll be along soon to finish my business, Floyd.
You better finish it pretty soon. It's one thing for us to be an hour and a half late, but you're pushing it pretty close to 2 hours.
Oh, what's the difference?
Nothing. But today we got other people waiting.
I'll be along in a few minutes.
We can't wait that long. Them folks is getting riled. Come on now, or we'll have to pull out without you.
Pull out without me. That's ridiculous.
Yo, you got exactly 30 seconds left to catch that train. And that's official.
Maybe you better go, Joe. He sounded like he meant it.
Oh, Floyd talks more than he says. Pull out without me. That's ridiculous. Oh, look.
Terrible.
Floyd! Come on, Floyd, let's go.
What do you say, Sam? How much you want for this one?
All right, Joe, since you got plenty of time before you start that nice long walk back to Shady Rest, I'm opening the haggling at $1.
And you just went off and left Uncle Joe in Hooterville?
Had to, Billy Joe. There was people waiting.
I went into Drucker 6 times and tried to drag him out.
You know him. When he gets to gabbing, there's no way to cork him up.
Well, I can understand how you both felt, but I can't help worrying about poor Uncle Joe, walking all that way.
Yeah, he's apt to be a little peeved.
Joe, I see you got the washboard.
Charlie and Floyd were telling us about how you didn't quite catch the cannonball.
Charlie and Floyd who?
Now, Uncle Joe, that's no way to talk about old friends.
Well, if you're referring to those 2 impatient operators of that rusty pile of junk laughingly called the Hooterville Cannonball, I ain't interested.
Joe, you know the whole thing was your own fault.
I'll give you fair warning.
Girls, it seems to me I hear voices in this room. Would you mind telling them that from now on, anytime they're broadcasting, I won't be tuning in?
And while you're about it, girls, would you tell old Uncle Sorehead that before we'd talk to him, we'd sooner talk to a hollow log?
Girls, would you mind telling them that the thing you usually find at the end of a hollow log is a skunk? Them 2 polecats must be gone. The air smells a lot better in here.
Joe, are you going to keep up this silly fight forever?
Silly fight my eye. It's a matter of principle.
What principle?
I don't know, but there's one here somewhere.
Joe, you sure look pretty. Where are you going? Orville's picking me up to take me to a movie matinee.
Picking you up? In what?
In his flivver.
Well, how's he going to do that? The nearest road's 2 miles over the hill.
He latched onto some old handcar wheels, and he replaced his regular car wheels with them.
You're joshing.
There he is.
I don't believe it.
Well, there's only one way to find out. Come on out and take a look.
This I gotta see.
Okay, Betty Joe, we're all set.
Orville, how did you do it?
Brains, patience, and perseverance. And the help of my older brother. He's a mechanical engineer.
Well, what do you say now, Uncle Joe?
Well, I haven't seen it work yet. Come on, Orville, you could tell us. You pushed it in here, didn't you?
Oh, gosh, no, Mr. Carson. Well, hop in, Betty Joe, and we'll show him.
Well, Uncle Joe?
Like I always said, that boy's got a lot of talent.
When did you ever say that?
Starting right now. He's got more talent than he realizes. In fact, he's just become a partner in a new railroad.
I'm a little afraid to ask, but what are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that the Hooterville Cannonball is about to have a little competition from the Hooterville Flivverball. Welcome back, kids. How was the show?
Fine, but riding in this was the real fun. Well, thanks for taking me to the show, Orville, and especially for the keen ride.
Oh, sure thing, Betty Joe.
Come on, Uncle Joe.
You go on up the house, honey. I want to talk to my good buddy Orville for a minute.
Let me get this straight, Mr. Carson. You want to go into partnership with me?
Of course I do. You got talent, intelligence, and brain power, my boy.
I have?
In a car with flanged wheels.
You really think we can compete with the Cannonball?
Why not? They may be bigger, but we got more speed. Well, we can make a dozen runs to Hooterville while they're still trying to get up steam in Pixley.
And all I have to do is lend you the car, huh?
And furnish the gas and oil, and we'll split the profits after that right down through the middle.
Mr. Carson, I don't know what to say.
Now, let's look at it this way. What other boy ever had half interest in a railroad at 16?
I guess you're right.
Of course I'm right, partner. Girls, your mother's a great little woman, but she just ain't got my business instincts. And when she gets back and sees what I'm doing, she'll be proud.
What she'll be is furious.
Oh, no, she won't. She's never really seen me in action yet. Why, before long, Orville and me will have diesel locomotives, tank cars, Vistadome. Hooterville will be the hub of the railroad industry. Might even buy out the New York Central.
Uncle Joe, you know you don't believe a word you're saying.
What do you mean?
I mean that you're doing this for one purpose only. To get even with poor Charlie and Floyd.
Yeah, poor is right. When I get through with them, they ain't gonna have enough steam left to blow their whistle.
Uncle Joe, now listen a minute, please. The Cannonball is Charlie and Floyd's whole livelihood.
Well, if it's their livelihood, they ought to know better than to go around leaving important passengers stranded.
Now, Uncle Joe, you know whose fault that was.
You're dang right. I got it figured. 40% Floyd for making the signal, 60% Charlie for leaving.
Well, Charlie, Floyd, we were just talking about you, weren't we, Uncle Joe?
You were. I was talking about the railroading business.
Hey, what's that fool Flivver doing sitting down below on our tracks?
Your tracks? Them ain't no more your tracks than they are anybody else's.
But it's our railroad.
It has been up until now. You and Charlie had a pretty slick little monopoly going.
Joe, what in tarnation are you talking about?
I ain't talking, I'm telling. At 8:04 tomorrow morning, the little Hooterville Flivverball sitting down there is going to run your Cannonball out of business.
You're going to run us out of business with that little thing? That's the biggest joke I ever heard.
Yeah? In a couple of days, you'll be laughing out of the other side of your boiler.
Why, that ornery old coot. Reckon he's really serious. Who'd think he'd go that far? Just 'cause we made him walk home with that washboard.
Oh, there's nothing to worry about. By tomorrow morning, when Uncle Joe finds out that there's work connected with this, he'll forget the whole thing. I hope.
Step right up, folks. Ride the Hooterville Flivverball. A new adventure in railroad travel. Remember our slogan, fresh air, low fare.
Did you ever see anything as ridiculous in your life?
Yeah, who'd ride in that pneumonia buggy?
Are you tired of riding in that cooped-up coach with its stale, used-up air? Then ride in the wide-open fresh air Flivverball, specially equipped for sightseeing. How do you do, sir? I can see that you're an experienced, discriminating traveler. Just step aboard. We'll be pulling out as soon as we're sure we're not leaving anybody behind.
He sure grabs hold of a grudge real strong, don't he?
He's got an elephant's memory and a mule's nature.
Just step aboard, madam. On the flivver ball, both you and your chicken are welcome. Take the scenic route, folks. Unlimited view of all historical points of interest. Just step in, folks. There's room for everybody.
I'll be switched. He seems to be getting a few.
He seems to be getting more than we're getting.
Some people will take to anything just 'cause it's new and fashionable.
Well, folks, it's departure time, and we're departing.
I'll say one thing for his train, it's got pickup.
Yeah, but we get his overflow.
Money to ride that thing?
Joe was cranking that money changer like somebody'd wound him up at the elbow.
Well, where's Uncle Joe now? He hasn't missed dinner in over 15 years. It's getting pretty late. What time is it?
It's 8 o'clock. Maybe he's picking up the late revelers at Pixley.
$7.37. And that's just for the first day. After I convert to diesel and get longer benches, I'll have all of Hooterville at my feet.
Uncle Joe, you don't really mean that you're going to continue running that flivver ball like this day after day.
Why not?
I'll tell you why not. You keep this up, and Floyd and me will be out in the cold.
And when you're out in the cold, it's pretty cold.
You big cartels are all alike. You talk about the glories of competition, but the minute somebody opens up beside you, you start to cry.
Gentlemen, please. Now, don't you think it's time you apologized to each other and made up?
We'll apologize if he'll apologize first for trying to run us out of business.
I ain't apologizing until you two admit it was a low-down trick to leave me stranded at Drucker's store. Now, if you young ladies will excuse me, I'll get to bed and get ready for another busy day.
Uncle Joe, aren't you going to have any dinner?
Well, I have a sandwich and a glass of milk in my room while I go over my accounts.
We better get home and get to bed, too. We got to get out early to try to keep up. Bye, girls.
Bye, Charlie. Good night,
Girls, thanks for the dinner.
Good morning, Uncle Joe. Hi, Uncle Joe. Morning, Uncle
Morning,
Joe.
girls. You got some breakfast for a hungry railroad man?
Mom's in the kitchen getting it ready.
Your mom's home?
Yeah, she got in last night, and Aunt Winifred's just fine.
I can close my eyes and tell you what we're having. Country sausage, buckwheat cakes, and blueberry syrup. That's my favorite breakfast.
We told her what's been going on, Uncle Joe. I think she's got a surprise for you.
Good morning, Uncle Joe. Good morning.
Welcome home, my dear.
Thank you. It's good to be home. Tell me something. Are you still in the railroad business?
I'll say I'm still in the railroad business. A couple more days and I'll have that cannonball in mothballs.
Guess that makes you feel real proud.
Well, let's face it, some of us have it and some of us don't.
Putting Floyd and Charlie out of business would be a real triumph, wouldn't it?
When they sell that cannonball for junk, will be the happiest day of my life.
Well, I guess when big businessmen get to competing, there's just no room for sentiment.
Kate, you're finally getting realistic. You know, in the jungle of big business, somebody has to suffer. Kate, forgetting something?
Oh, I don't think so, Uncle Joe. What?
My plate. Ain't nothing on it but the painted flowers.
Yeah, that's right.
Aren't we planning on covering them up with hotcakes and stuff?
No, we're not. As long as this silly feud keeps up between you, Charlie, and Floyd, none of you are going to have a bite to eat at this table.
You're Josh.
I am? Would you please... Pardon me. Would you please pass the blueberry syrup, Billy Joe?
Hey, me, Billy Joe, I think I'm having a bad dream.
Oh, no, it's no dream, Uncle Joe. But now that you're a successful railroad man, you can eat in town at the Pixley Diner.
Kate, you know I'm a forgiving man. I'm going to give you one more chance to change your mind. Do I get some hotcakes and sausage or don't I?
You don't. Pass it, buddy.
That does it. Girls, you've got the doggonest, stubbornest mother that ever was.
Where are you going, Uncle Joe?
Where do you think I'm going? I'm going to run that flavor ball until I die at the throttle of malnutrition.
Do we smell sausage and buckwheat cakes?
Yeah, and that's all you're going to get's a smell. That woman's turning real difficult.
What's the matter with old Grumpy?
Uncle Joe's always grumpy when he hasn't eaten breakfast.
And he sure hasn't had any this morning.
How come? Has he got dyspepsy?
No. Uncle Joe just has a bad case of the stubborns.
And Mom told him he wasn't going to get a bite of food until he stopped this nonsense with the flivver ball.
It's a good thing you're back, Kate.
Yeah, smart thinking, Kate. That'll bring him back to his senses.
If he's got any.
That's the only way to treat a stubborn old fool like him.
That's what I thought. I knew you boys would be ready to apologize and make up.
Us apologize?
To that old railroad pirate?
Never in a million years.
Well, that just ended breakfast.
And you're not going to feed us either?
Not as long as you three keep feuding.
Well, Floyd, reckon we might as well get going.
I guess we might as well.
So long, Kate.
So long, boys.
Mom, don't you think you were a little hard on Charlie and Floyd?
And Uncle Joe, too.
Well, you practically took the sausages right out of their mouths.
You girls remember when you were little kids and you used to have those stubborn spats with each other?
Well, sure, Mom.
Well, what you don't remember is how I got you over them.
How did you?
I used to get you so mad at me that you forgot about being mad at each other.
Oh, I see. What you're doing is starving Uncle Joe, Charlie, and Floyd into getting mad at you.
And going back to being good friends again. Now, let's clear the table.
Mom, there's something I don't understand.
What's that, Betty?
Well, when we were kids, and you got us over being mad at each other by getting us mad at you, well, how did you get us to stop being mad at you?
Honey, that was always the real tricky part.
What a breakfast for a big railroad executive.
Joe, those bananas are a little green, and if you keep on eating them, you're going to get a little green, too.
Well, a man's got to eat something to hold body and soul together.
Well, I don't know about your soul, but you could afford to lose about 40 pounds of body.
If Kate don't come to her senses, I'll be known as a Hooterville skeleton.
Somebody ought to come to their senses, but it ain't Kate. Why don't you give that fool Flivver back to Orville and let Charlie and Floyd run the railroad?
Them two nincompoops couldn't run an electric train on a living room rug. I better get going. I've got to beat him through the switch to Pixley.
Well, now, just a minute, Joe. Them bananas cost a nickel apiece.
Sam, how can you talk about the price of bananas in the middle of a railroad war?
I'd have bought more bananas if I'd known I was going to have so many monkeys in here today.
Sam, we ain't enjoying living on bananas.
But it's better than a Pixley Diner. Them blue plate specials of theirs is turning Charlie and me blue.
All you have to do is apologize to Joe and you'll have your feet back under Kate's table.
We wouldn't apologize to him if he was head of the New York Central.
Come on, Floyd. Let's see if we can knock him off the track on the way to Pixley.
I knew this old Army mess kit would come in handy someday.
Well, if the Army had to travel on its stomach and waited for you to do the cooking, we'd lost the war for sure.
Wait till you taste this. You're going to be surprised.
I'll be surprised if I ever get to taste it.
Charlie, I'm the conductor, and I don't mind helping fire the engine, but I never signed on as a cook.
Do I smell something cooking?
Well, if it ain't the big railroader, Floyd, give Mr. Vanderbilt a seat.
Don't be so smart, Alecky. Floyd, what you cooking?
He's cooking some food for us.
Oh, Charlie, let's give him a little. He's starving just like we are.
I don't know as I'd accept charity, even if it was offered.
Okay, we won't offer you any.
On second thought, I'll accept.
Here you are. Beef stew, a la World War I.
Stew like this could lead to World War III.
I never thought anything could taste worse than green bananas, but Floyd, you've done it.
Oh, it is offlandish. Somewhere between World War I and now, I must have lost my touch.
I suppose you know who got us into all this trouble. Kate.
That's right. If it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be suffering like this.
That stew on top of them green bananas is sure starting to make me suffer.
That's the trouble with women. They ain't got no sense of humor.
You're right, Joe. A few old friends start having a little good-natured fun, and right away some woman comes along and starts taking it serious.
Of course. But how could she figure I was planning on staying into the railroad business? Me up to my ears in work running that hotel. Like I was telling Kate a little while ago, it's just too much work for one man, no matter how talented he is.
You're right, Joe. Your place is back on the front porch of the Shady Rest, making decisions.
And our place is running this cannonball.
And all of our place is right back where we can get our feet under Kate's table.
You know what's going on over there right now?
What?
Kate's laying out a spread of chicken and dumplings that'd make a statue come running to the table.
Well, what are we doing here?
You know what the old World War I infantry manual said?
Sure. When they got you completely surrounded, surrender and join the enemy. Let's go. Hi, Kate.
Just happened to be in the neighborhood and thought we'd drop in.
Just thought we'd come in and say hi.
Am I to assume that the railroad trouble is over?
What railroad trouble?
Kate, hadn't you heard? Uncle Joe's back in the hotel business.
Well, I'm sure glad to hear that. We can't get along without you, Uncle Joe.
Hear that, boys? Women are helpless without us.
Why don't the three of you join us for supper?
Oh, I don't know. We've just had quite a meal.
Quite a meal is right.
Oh, well, suit yourselves. I have to call another guest, so please excuse me. Mr. Anderson! Supper's ready.
Who's that? That's J.P. Anderson, a salesman, otherwise known as Wipeout Anderson, the bottomless pit of the eating world.
We better get to the table before him or there won't be a bone left.
Full as we are, I think we'll try a little of your chicken and dumplings, Kate.
Well, whether you can choke down a bite or not, it's sure good to see the three of you sitting at this table again. Mr. Anderson.
Peoticoat Junction. This has been a Filmways presentation.
Come ride the little train that is rolling down the tracks to the junction. Forget about your cares, it is time to relax at the junction. Lots of curves, you bet, and even more when you get to the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
There's a little hotel called the Shady Rest at the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
It is run by Kate. Come and be her guest at the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
And that's Uncle Joe. He's a moving kind of slow at the junction. Peoticoat Junction.
What was that?
Nothing to worry about, Uncle Joe. It's called silence.
Hi, boy.
I'm sorry, kids, to break off all that fancy stomping and hopping to that dandy music, but I'd like to be able to hear Charlie and Floyd.
Sure, Mrs. Bradley, that's okay.
Besides, it's the first chance I've had today to rest my frazzled nerves and shattered eardrums.
Yeah, we're real sorry, Mrs. Bradley.
Yeah, we're also darn anxious to do good in that Hooterville Hop Contest next month. We kind of get carried away.
Yeah, well, for the time being, would you mind being carried away to the kitchen for some milk and cookies?
Thanks, Mom.
And please, chew quietly.
Here you are, Kate. Today's mail.
One postcard?
Better than yesterday. 3 bills and a circular on low-cost Las Vegas weekends.
Why, this is from Mr. Norman Curtis of the railroad.
Nutty Norman? You're kidding. What's he say?
He says he's in Europe.
That's no surprise. He also says he's president of the railroad.
Joe, let's see. He says he's in Europe, having a wonderful... Can't make out the next word.
Vacation.
That's right, vacation. The people here are very...
Friendly.
Yeah. And the weather is...
I couldn't make that out either.
Delightful.
Thank you, Joe. I plan to be here 3 months. Regards to everyone. Sincerely, Norman Curtis.
Since when did they start spelling sincerely L-O-V-E?
Charlie. That's just his way of being friendly. I think it was very nice of Mr. Curtis to think of us all the way over here from Paris.
Paris. Ha! He's pathetic.
No, he's not. And I'm worried. Suppose Mr. Bedloe comes up with another scheme to close down the Cannonball while he's gone. Now, you know that Mr. Curtis is always on our side.
So what? Nutty Norman ain't any more president of that railroad than I am.
I don't know. But in some way, Mr. Curtis seems to be Mr. Bedloe's superior.
That don't prove nothing. Who ain't?
Bedloe, as your superior, I have a right to know why you're requesting a temporary transfer to Hooterville.
Mr. Giddings, you know that miserable Hooterville Cannonball is the one rotten apple in the whole CNFW barrel. Close down that line while Curtis is in Europe, and you'll be able to walk into the next stockholders' meeting as the, well, shall we say, the CNFW Man of the Year.
I have strict orders from Norman Curtis not to close down the Cannonball.
But you're not going to close it down. You'll be improving it.
This scheme is even sneakier than I thought. You've lost me.
JB, appoint me superintendent of that line, and I'll institute an efficiency campaign that'll make those people down there wish they'd never heard of the Hooterville Cannonball.
You're beginning to find me.
Believe me, JB. When I get through with them down there, you won't have to close down the line. They'll do it themselves and be grateful for the chance.
And I won't be bucking Curtis's orders either.
Oh, more than that, you'll be the stockholders' hero. Remember, JB, this company's ready for new and dynamic leadership.
Bedloe, I'm sending you to Hooterville as superintendent of that line. But there's less than a month until the stockholders' meeting. If you're going to get the job done in time, you'd better leave as soon as possible.
Whatever you say, JB.
Kate, Joe. Hi, boy. Beautiful day, ain't it? Makes a man glad he's alive.
Good morning, everybody.
I wish I was dead.
Homer, Bedloe, what are you doing in Hooterville?
That's like asking a fox what he's doing in the hen house.
Oh, that's very witty, Mr. Carson. I'm going to enjoy living with you at the Shady Rests.
You're staying here? For how long?
Only as long as it takes to get the job done. Mrs. Bradley, do you have yearly rates?
Mr. Bedloe, what are you talking about?
Charlie. Any more foolish questions?
But, Mr. Bedlow,
Now, stop mumbling, man, when you're talking to the new superintendent of the Hooterville Cannonball. Now, come along, let's get going.
Get going? Where to?
To work. We've got a schedule to keep.
What schedule?
This schedule.
A schedule for the Cannonball?
The thought of that makes my heart jump up into my throat, Mr. Bedlow.
Well, swallow it. Let's get going. We've got to be in Hooterville in 12 minutes.
What for?
Because it says so here.
There ain't nothing happening in Hooterville this time of day. What do we do when we get there?
Go back to Pixley.
Why?
Because it says so here.
Mr. Bedlow, we can't follow a schedule like this. Why, it calls for 14 runs a day.
15. You're forgetting the 4 a.m. milk run.
Who drinks milk at 4 a.m.?
Now stop stalling and get on a train.
Just a minute, the boys haven't eaten yet. And Charlie always gets dizzy spells when he doesn't get his proper nourishment.
Yeah, he's been known to get dizzy 10 or 12 times a day.
Mr. Bedlow, we're not leaving till we have our lunch.
Just a minute. I'd like to read to you Article 7 from the Book of Rules of the CNFW Railroad. Insubordination. Any employee who disobeys an order from a superior is subject to immediate dismissal.
I guess you better go, boys. And I'll fix you some sandwiches to take along with you.
Article 26. Eating or drinking while on duty constitutes a violation of the CNFW rules governing deportment. This is also covered by Clause 96, road etiquette.
We get the point, Mr. Bedlow.
Don't worry, boys. I'll keep the food warm for when you stop on your way back.
What stop? You might as well know now, Mrs. Bradley, that the Cannonball is only making 3 stops a day at the Shady Rest. In the morning, to pick me up. At noon, for lunch. And in the evening, to bring me back again.
Is that last stop necessary?
It's covered by Article 32, welfare and comfort of the supervisory personnel.
That's what it's all about. I might have known it's another one of your low-down, sneaky schemes to shut down the Cannonball.
I couldn't have described it better myself, Mrs. Bradley. Beautiful, isn't it? We're pulling out in 1 minute.
I ain't going.
You have to. That's what he's trying to do, get you to quit. Just like he's trying to shut down the Shady Rest with those 3 stops a day.
I knew that guy'd never change. He's got a one-track mind.
Yeah, the track from Hooterville to Pixley. He's aiming to make it so tough on us that we're going to shut down the Cannonball ourselves.
Then we got to get him out of the Shady Rest.
Oh, no. It's better to have him where we can keep an eye on him and know what he's up to.
Well, what are you aiming to do about him, Kate?
We just got to outlast him. This is a war of nerves.
Well, that's the only trouble. He's got more nerve than we got.
True.
That's enough time for breakfast. Let's get rolling. isn't the old days. Let's look alive.
I'm sorry, Kate. That's all I got time for now.
You did pretty good today. You almost got through your first helping.
Well, Mrs. Bradley, still hanging on, are you?
We got lots of patience, Mr. Bedloe.
Yes, but no guests. Not since I put in that new schedule. I don't know why Pratt and Smoot haven't thrown in the towel. Unless it's because they wanted for one good cry.
You never managed to beat us before. Don't you think you're a mite overconfident?
Nonsense. I can finish you all off in one day. My only reason for stretching it out is my analyst told me I don't get enough pleasure out of life. Good evening, everybody. Beautiful evening, isn't it? Oh, do my eyes deceive me? Is it possible that I am witnessing a touch of communal despair? What a picture you make. If only I was an artist and could immortalize this moment in oils, I assure you the painting would occupy a prominent place on my office wall and forever in my heart.
Mr. Bedloe, if you've got a heart, I'd like to see it.
Yeah, me too. Right out in the open.
What'd you do with Floyd and Charlie?
They're fast asleep at their post in the locomotive cab. That way they thought they'd get a good night's sleep.
Those two poor boys sure have a good rest coming to them.
Not a chance. In 2.5 hours' time, we're taking a practice emergency run. Oh, what a lovely night for a train ride.
You won't think it's such a lovely night when all you get for supper is a cucumber sandwich.
I had a hunch something like that would happen. The Pixley Diner barbecues a fine chicken. One of you girls bring a plate up to my room. But oh, by the way, Mrs. Bradley, since you won't be cooking dinner for me tonight, I'll naturally expect you to deduct it from my bill.
If I was a younger and stronger man, I'd sure show him.
Yeah, Uncle Joe, you'd knock his block off, huh?
No. I'd walk all the way to Pixley and get me some of that chicken.
Will you stop that racket? Mrs. Bradley, what kind of a hotel is this where a man can't get a decent 2.5 hours sleep?
But it's so early.
Early? In another 45 minutes, it's going to be almost 9 o'clock. Have you forgotten I'm to take a practice emergency run?
Who could forget an absolute necessity like that?
This is too much.
You're right, Mr. Bedloe. This is too much. We've had enough of your ridiculous rules and schedules. You've been acting like a child, complaining like a child, and now you're even going to bed like a child. What you need is a good spanking.
No, Mrs. Bradley. I'm a guest here. I didn't pay for this kind of treatment.
That's okay. The spanking's on the house.
You know, Mrs. Bradley, at this moment, you remind me very much of my mother. And we didn't get along either.
Your mother sounds like a fine, intelligent woman. And at this moment, I just wish I was your mother.
Sounds to me like you're not happy with my patronage.
We ain't happy with any part of you.
Very well. I'll leave the first thing in the morning. I'm sure I can get suitable accommodations in Pixley.
Okay, girls, start dancing again, and to heck with you, Bedloe.
Very well, Mrs. Bradley. Since I won't be living here, there won't be need for the cannonball to stop at the Shady West anymore.
I think you spoke a little too harshly, Kate.
Don't worry about him, Uncle Joe. I wouldn't want him for a guest if he was the last one we ever had. And I think he is.
We might as well face up to it. This time, Bedloe's got us licked. The Shady Rest ain't gonna have no more guests than Floyd and me's through.
Charlie's right, Kate. Me and him's tired than two hounds chasing a fast rabbit.
I'll tell you what Floyd and me done. We told him in so many words that if the cannonball ain't stopping at the Shady Rest no more, we're through running it.
Oh, you shouldn't have done that, Charlie. That's exactly what he wants. If you and Floyd quit, he can shut down the cannonball.
Well, he's gonna do it anyhow, sooner or later.
Where'd Bedloe go?
Into the city, CNFW stockholders meeting he had to attend. You know, somebody ought to tell them stockholders how their money's being wasted, paying a man $30,000 a year to be superintendent of a one-track line.
I mean, the railroad's paying Bedloe $30,000 a year?
He was bragging about it a couple of days ago.
That's the biggest train robbery since Jesse James.
That's our answer.
Oh, wait a minute, Kate. We may be desperate, but robbing the cannonball ain't gonna help.
That's not what I mean. I mean that somebody should tell the stockholders how their money is being wasted. Why, they'd never stand still for a $30,000 a year man running this line.
You're right, Kate. They'll put Bedloe where he belongs, back on his regular job, and we can get to living normal again.
Yeah, but who's going to tell the stockholders?
Us. We'll go to the meeting.
They'll never let us in.
Oh, yes, they will if we're stockholders.
Kate, you don't expect us to buy CNFW stock.
All we need's one share.
By golly, Kate, I believe you blundered onto something.
Well, thank you, Uncle Joe. Now, are we all for it?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Now then, I'll get Sam Drucker to buy the share of stock for us, and then with luck, we'll be buying Mr. Bedloe a one-way ticket out of our lives forever.
JB, when those two imitation railroadmen told me they were quitting, I knew that my mission was accomplished.
You did it, huh?
Yes, sir, JB. We've seen the last of that disgraceful traveling eyesore.
Good. Then I can announce that the Cannonball is out of business. It's going to be scrapped.
Right. That's one headache that's gone forever.
Oh, looks like we're getting some visitors.
Oh. Excuse me a minute, JB. Just a minute. You can't come in here.
Why, hello, Mr. Bedloe.
Well, this meeting is for the stockholders of the CNFW.
That's us.
Here's our share of stock.
Hooterville Investment Fund?
And we're the Homer Bedloe Fan Club.
Oh, that's very flattering. It's gratifying to know that my modest efforts in your community haven't gone unnoticed. Bedloe must go.
Yeah, there was two more words telling where, but we ran out of girls.
But a few people have come here to save the Cannonball. I'm afraid you're a little late.
What do you mean?
Well, if you'll just sit down and make yourself comfortable, the service is about to begin.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, I have an important announcement to make, which I'm sure will please all of the stockholders. It is with great pride that I am able to inform you that the one disgraceful, outmoded eyesore of the entire CNFW system has been eliminated. The Hooterville-Pixley branch line is no longer in operation.
That's a good move, Giddings. It'll save us a lot of money.
It will?
Yes. One of our visiting stockholders, a lady from out of town, has made us aware of an interesting fact, which our comptroller has confirmed. We stood to lose $30,000 on that branch line this year, the very amount that we were paying the superintendent. Well, since you're closing down the line, why not get rid of the superintendent and save the $30,000?
What?
Sure. We don't need a superintendent for a line that no longer exists. Fire him.
Fire the superintendent?
Mr. Bedloe, it seems that if we don't have the Cannonball, you won't have a job. You're in the same boat with us.
And this time the rat's going down with the ship.
As one sailor to another, I think we should pull for shore together.
I hate to admit it, Mrs. Bradley, but you're right.
Gentlemen and ladies, just a moment. You're making a terrible mistake. You can't shut down the Hooterville Cannonball. That's the greatest little train that was ever built. Whoever says that magnificent example of early American railroading should be scrapped deserves to be scrapped. Call me sentimental and tender-hearted if you must. But to me, that beautiful and distinctive example of Americana is the pride of the CNFW.
But as I understand it, the Hooterville Cannonball runs on an outdated, inefficient line that doesn't even keep a schedule.
That's not true.
Well, since when?
Since you sent us the best superintendent in railroad history. Why, you can't shut down that line after what he's done for it. He has given us a schedule that outdoes any other line in the country. Right, Charlie?
14 runs a day.
Plus the milk run.
And Mr. Bedloe has shown us the light.
At 4 a.m.
In the dark.
But it's still costing us $30,000.
Well, When you want the best, you gotta pay for it.
Exactly. What's a paltry $30,000 compared to the welfare and happiness of the fine and noble people of that community who depend upon that line? And what about these two self-sacrificing individuals who run that great little train? I refer to my good friends and close companions, Charlie Pratt and Floyd Smoot, two brave and selfless creatures who I've seen deprived of food and sleep just to keep the cannonball rolling. And gentlemen, with us today is the proprietress of the Shady Rest Hotel. I couldn't love her more, even if she were my own mother. And her three charming daughters, who, by the way, are my fan club.
Must Bedlow go? Must Bedlow go?
Gentlemen, you haven't lived unless you've seen these three charming creatures give one of her delightful folk dances. What more can I say, gentlemen? The people in this valley are our kind of people, the greatest people in the world. Let the C&FW be known as the railroad with a heart. Gentlemen, I beg you, do not scrap the Hooterville cannonball.
I suggest that the C&FW be known as the railroad with a heart. And that we reopen the Hooterville-Pixley line and keep on the superintendent.
Of course.
Gentlemen, we don't want to keep our wonderful superintendent on the Hooterville Cannonball.
Well, why not? You were just telling us how much you wanted him.
Well, I may be a woman, but underneath it all, I'm a stockholder. It'd be very selfish of us to want to keep Mr. Bedlow in Hooterville. He should be sent to other trouble spots.
Yeah. Trouble's his middle name.
Did you hear that, Giddings?
I certainly did. And I know just the place where Mr. Bedlow should be sent. To our newly acquired railroad line in Kodiak, Alaska.
The cannonball rides again.
We owe it all to Mr. Bedlow. He was terrific.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, we won't forget you, Bedlow, even though you are way up there in Alaska. You can thank Kate for keeping your job for you.
Oh, it was nothing. After all, we were in the same boat together, weren't we, Mr. Bedlow?
Only while we were sinking. From now on, it's war again.
Of course. After you get back from Alaska. You know, Mr. Bedlow, I think those Eskimos up there are going to take to you just like we did. Let's go.
Peoticoat Junction. This has been a Filmways presentation.
Come ride the little train that is rolling down the tracks to the junction. Forget about your cares, it is time to relax at the junction. Lots of curves, you bet, and even more when you get to the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
There's a little hotel called the Shady Rest at the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
It is run by Kate. Come and be her guest at the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
And that's Uncle Joe. He's a moving kind of slow at the junction. Peoticoat Junction.
All right, now you two, you get behind the desk. I'll get on the phone.
On a phone that isn't connected?
Yeah, let's not get ridiculous about this. But does the man from the bank know it isn't connected? Like I said, you get at the desk, I'll get on the phone.
My report will indicate the hotel is in excellent condition, considering its age, Mrs. Bradley.
Oh, that's thrilling news, Mr. Bunce.
But I'm afraid that's the only recommendation I can make to the bank about extending your loan.
You just put a chill in the thrill.
What's that? Reservations for a family of 6 for 2 weeks beginning the 19th? Just a moment. Can we take care of them?
We can't take anything from the 19th through the 30th. The grocers' convention will be here then, and they're out of luck next month. We're booked solid.
Sorry, sir, but starting in a week, we're going to be so jam-packed around here, well, there won't even be standing room in the lobby. Oh, certainly. I think we can squeeze you in then. Just a moment. Reserve 3 rooms for the Finch family, 14th to 28th, month after next. Mr. Finch, your reservations have been confirmed, and I know you have a most enjoyable stay here at the... Oh, you know.
Yes, young lady, I know. When I tried to make a call earlier, Mr. Carson explained it wasn't connected.
Good old dependable Uncle Joe.
I believe he said he hung it there to give the place class.
Oh, yes, sir, that's true. But also, I use it to practice speaking into.
I hope I didn't embarrass you too much.
Oh, no, not a bit. Why, I always enjoy feeling like a complete idiot this time of day.
Kate, I got great news. Guess who got off the cannonball? Mrs. Clara Watkins, the social leader of Watkins County.
Uncle Joe, let's not
She and her
try...
son are coming up the hill right now, breathing money from every pore.
Uncle Joe, you're wasting your time.
Mrs. Watkins likes it here. Shady Rest could become the headquarters of the wealthiest people in these parts. Just think of all the money.
Uncle Joe, please settle down. It's no use. Mr. Bunce won't go for it. But don't feel bad. The girls just struck out on a lollapalooza.
Hey, Mrs. Watkins is coming up the hill right now.
And I might add, quite a climb. Well, they told me this wasn't much of a hotel, and they were right. Come on, Sonny. This little Victorian retreat appears to be just the place for you to do some serious thinking about yourself. I think a week here will prove relaxing, restful, and I feel painfully dull.
Welcome to Shady Rest. We're honored to have you as our guests.
Oh, yes, of course.
A sign right here, Mrs. Watkins.
Mrs. Watkins Smith at the moment. I always sign my name in honor of my late husband.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry.
Thank you, my dear. But when one loses as many husbands as I have lost, one becomes accustomed to it, and one does not look for sympathy.
Oh.
So what one looks for instead is another husband. Mrs. Clara Watkins Smith. Before that, I was Mrs. Clara Watkins Carter, and then before that, I was Mrs. Clara Watkins Hanover. And once I married a distant cousin, and I was Mrs. Clara Watkins Watkins. Oh, dear. That one only lived 2 months after I married him.
What a pity.
Yes, it was. Hardly worth the ceremony.
Yes. Well, I've given you a dandy room. Our very best right in the front of the hotel, Mrs. Watkins.
Oh, just Watkins will do. And give Sonny here a room not too far from me.
Oh, number 10. That's bright and cheery. Got 2 windows in it.
Sonny needs a tranquil atmosphere where he can reflect upon himself and his future. This naughty boy has just been expelled from his 6th college.
It's too bad.
They say he's wild and uncontrollable. I'm sure it's true, but he certainly never acts that way when he's around me. Do you, Sonny?
No, Mummy.
Here's your suitcases, folks.
This here's the best-looking batch of alligator luggage we've ever carried on the cannonball.
If them alligators had known it was going to look this good, they'd have walked out of the river right into the factory all by themselves.
Thank you, boys. Girls, will you show the folks to their rooms?
Sure, Mom. This way, please.
Well, was that her nibs herself, or was that her nibs?
Yeah, it was her nibs, all right, Uncle Joe. More than likely, at one time, Mrs. Clara Watkins' nibs. Well, Mr. Bunce, how about it?
Well, I must admit that having Clara Watkins as a guest here could have some influence on my recommendation to the bank.
Great. Now you run over to that little old bank of yours and take care of the details.
Hold on now, it's not quite that simple. What I mean is, it could make a difference to our bank if Mrs. Watkins were to recommend this place to her wealthy friends.
Well, what's so funny, Bobby Joe? Tell me, Mom, do you believe in love at first sight?
Well, I don't know. I guess so. Why?
Well, I think Sonny Watkins believes in it, too, but I'm not too sure about Billy Joe.
Well, what are you talking about?
Oh, wait, don't run away. Come here.
Later, Mr. Watkins.
You can call me Sonny.
Okay, Sonny, what do you say we talk later, all right? Mr. Bunce?
How are you? Nice place you have here.
Sonny's cute, isn't he?
Cute? Would you think so if he was annoying you?
Please, Mom, don't even think of it. I can't run as fast as Billy Joe.
I must say, Mrs. Bradley, I find your food exceptional. It's rich. You might say it suits my taste.
Oh, I'm real glad you like it, Mrs. Watkins. Real glad.
Well, Billy Joe, you've done it again. Romance blooms at the Shady Rest. Oh, lay off, will you? You're right, Betty Joe. Our big sister, the blonde bombshell of the Shady Rest, has added another gorgeous hunk of man to her long list of admirers.
Oh, dry up.
Her tremendous animal magnetism has attracted the attention of Jan Adonis, Sonny Watkins. Oh, knock it off, will you? Do you think that someday Sonny and Billy...
I'm going to count to 3, and then I'm going to see if I still feel like becoming an only child. 1, 2, 3.
Hi, Billy Joe.
There you are. What's new?
I'll tell you what's new. I dig you. You're wild, baby. Wild.
You're so right. That's what I am. Wild. Wild, 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 wild. Here I go again. Wild both on your feet.
Hey, wait up, will ya?
Good boy. Exercise will do wonders for you.
Oh, Miss Watkins, your mattress is fresh turned, and we hung up the rest of your things.
Come, my pets. I have the most glorious news for you.
Well, yes, Miss Watkins, what is it?
Oh, I'm so glad I brought Sonny here to this earthy environment. It's beginning to bring him to his senses. Now, my Sonny is the last of the Watkins line. The Watkins strain has always been fragile. And now Sonny is the last puny leaf on the family tree. Oh, I know I have my work cut out for me. I have got to work to build him in body, mind, and spirit, to perpetuate the Watkins lineage, so that eventually he can assume the leadership of the Watkins dynasty After I've relinquished it, of course.
I hope and trust that won't be for a long time, Mrs. Watkins.
You can hope and trust and bet your municipal bonds it'll be a long time. Now for the thrilling news. My Sonny has fallen in love with your Billy Joe.
Begging your pardon, Mrs. Watkins, but that doesn't startle us when a young man falls for Billy Joe.
Yeah, she averages about one a week.
2 in the summer when school's out.
But she has never had a Watkins fall in love with her.
No, I can't say that she has.
Now, my dear, you're coming to your senses.
Miss Watkins, Sonny is a very nice boy, but...
Mrs. Bradley, your daughter Billy Joe has the bone structure and the figure of a peasant.
Now, just a minute.
Oh, it's a lovely figure, my dear. Strong, durable, and incredibly healthy. Oh, she is the perfect creature to rebuild the Watkins family tree. Why, she could produce a flock of Watkins children with thicker bones and thicker blood and substantial bodies to match substantial minds, to handle the real substance of life. Money.
Yeah, well, Miss Watkins, we are going to have to settle something right here and now.
Oh, no, my dear. Settlements come after the wedding, not before.
No, Mrs. Watkins, they come now. You see, I know my daughter, Billy Joe, and how she acts around boys. And I know what she thinks about Sonny. Oh, they could be friends, good friends. But I'm sure that marriage is out of the question.
Mrs. Bradley, no one, but no one, rejects a Watkins in business or marriage and retains a relationship with us. Sonny and I are checking out of this antisocial, anti-financial, penny-ante environment immediately.
But we...
Well, Uncle Joe, what next?
I'll tell you what next. I'm going to sneak Miss Watkins and Sonny out of the room. I'm going to check them out real quiet, and then I'm going to tell Mr. Bunce that they left raving about the place.
I don't think you'll get away with it.
Neither do I.
Oh, wait, Mr. Bunce. Can't you take a joke? Wait, I was only joking, old buddy. Kate, you know there ain't really nothing wrong with marrying for money, especially if it's a difference between saving a hotel.
Uncle Joe, what are you saying?
Well, what I'm saying is that love and money go hand in hand, especially if you need it.
But even to save the hotel, how could you think of Billy Joe marrying that boy?
I ain't talking about that sweet child marrying that creepy kid. What I'm talking about is sweet old me marrying his creepy mother.
Just what is Uncle Joe up to, Mom?
Yeah, he took the longest bath he's ever taken. He's wearing his best clothes and smells like he drenched himself with a gallon of lilac Vegetal. Uncle Joe isn't really serious about romancing Mrs. Watkins, is he, Mom?
He better not be. If Uncle Joe married Mrs. Watkins, it'd sure cut down on his life expectancy.
Oh, Joseph, you're cute.
Well, having you visit with us makes me feel cute.
When you're all dressed up, you're quite the figure of a man, Joseph.
Well, thanks, Clara. I might say the same for you. I mean, quite the figure of a woman, that is.
Oh, you romantic rascal. You're the type that can turn a girl's head.
That's another great thing about you, Clara. Your youthful attitude.
Oh, one is as young as one feels. I feel as young as the day I graduated from high school. In fact, I even have the same measurements. 48, 48, 48.
Tremendous, Clara. That's tremendous. Like money in the bank.
was divine, my dear, just divine.
Shall we try a foxtrot this time, my dear?
Oh, that's a capital idea, my pet.
Mom, have you heard? Did Uncle Joe tell you?
What is it? What about Uncle Joe?
Mr. Bunce said that Uncle Joe proposed to Mrs. Watkins last night, and she accepted.
Oh, what? Oh, that man, that noble, foolish, overaged flirt. He's got it in his head that the only way to save us in the hotel is to marry that husband-hunting man-eater.
Well, we can't let him do that.
I know. Mrs. Watkins to do nothing but have Uncle Joe out working hard to make more money for her.
Poor Uncle Joe. He's not used to work. It'd kill him.
It'll probably be the shortest marriage in Mrs. Watkins' career. I'm going to put a stop to it, and right now. Uncle Joe, you are not going to marry that woman.
What do you think of this tie, Kate? Okay for a wedding?
Uncle Joe, would you please listen to me?
Oh, that's too somber. More for a funeral.
Well, if you're going through with this wedding, that's the one to wear.
Kate, who knows what the future holds in store for us? 'Tis a far, far better thing I do now than I've ever done before.
Will you stop reciting lines from old Ronald Colman movies and come to your senses?
I think I'll wear this one.
Not that one, you won't. Or any other, if I can help it. So you see, Mrs. Watkins, with Uncle Joe so set in his ways and grumpy and cranky and so downright unwilling to do a lick of work, he'd be ashamed to marry a man like that.
I appreciate your candor, my dear, but I'm looking forward to this marriage with Joseph. He's a challenge to me, perhaps my greatest. Up to now, I've only had one real challenge, and that was during my first marriage.
Uncle Joe reminds you of your first husband.
No, my first husband was no challenge at all. Joseph reminds me of a bulldog who was given to me as a wedding present.
Uncle Joe reminds you of a dog?
Yes, he was cute and determined and strong-willed, just like Joseph. You know, it took me the better part of 4 weeks to break his spirit. After that, I could handle him easily, just like I will Joseph. Now, don't worry, my dear. I'm going to make something of him if I have to run that adorable man right into the ground.
I see. That's real comforting news, Mrs. Watkins. Real comforting.
I sure hope it works, Mom.
Well, it's got to work, and I'm counting on 3 things to make it work. Floyd, Charlie, and Mrs. Watkins' greed.
Do you think Charlie and Floyd can do it, Mom?
Well, if they can't, I've wasted a basket of deep-fried chicken, 2 mince pies, and Uncle Joe's a goner.
Floyd, I told you to stay away from here. I've got just as much right being here as you have.
There they are. Come on.
Now, come on, Floyd. Get out of here. I will not. You ain't beating my time.
What is it, boys? What's going on?
I've come a-courting Clara Watkins. And when I come a-courting, I wears my courting clothes. Special design for romantic walks.
Charlie ain't a-getting the best of me. I wore my army uniform. It sure thrilled them French mademoiselles back there in 1918. And for extra insurance, I brought along my courting hair.
Oh, well, you look elegant. Real elegant, both of you. But, I got unpleasant news for you. Mrs. Watkins is engaged to Uncle Joe.
All the dang dratted infernal luck. The most enticing woman I ever laid my eyes on snatched right out from under my nose.
And right out from under my courting hair.
Yes, I know how disappointed you must be.
If you think we're disappointed, wait till you see the hangdog look on the faces of them salesmen that spotted her on the train.
They was a-figuring she was available for dating as soon as they got through with her selling.
Well, I reckon the most we can hope for is to dance with her at the wedding.
Well, goodbye, Kate, and goodbye, romance.
Well, just a moment. Excuse me, everybody. I couldn't help overhearing a teeny-weeny bit of your conversation, and I just didn't want you boys to leave with an erroneous impression.
Mrs. Watkins, are you saying that you're not engaged to Uncle Joe?
Well...
Is that what you're saying, pretty lady?
Are you saying there's a change for us? Please say there is.
You're down tootin'. And those salesmen, too. Oh, what I mean is, I've been thinking it over, and I think I'm too young to tie myself down right now. I think I should stay loose, so to speak, and have my fling.
Why, Clara, what are you saying? You can't back out now. You'll break my heart. This hotel, everything.
Joseph, I'm sorry. I've reconsidered, and the answer is no. I was caught up in a mad whirl of heady country air, and I made a wild, impulsive decision. Forgive me.
Listen, Clara, even though we ain't getting hitched, could you see your way clear to make me a little loan?
Why, Joseph? What's the problem?
Well, it's quite simple, Mrs. Watkins. Without your patronage, my bank will be forced to close down this hotel.
Oh? What bank do you represent?
The Pixley National Bank and Trust. Do you know it?
Know it. I own it.
You, own it?
Young man, in these parts, any business with the word bank in it, I own it.
Yes, ma'am, Mrs. Watkins. I should have known.
If you ever dreamt of extending a loan, you will extend it to this hotel. I wouldn't let this little playground close down for $1 million.
Yes, ma'am. Of course, Mrs. Watkins.
Mrs. Watkins, what can I say? How can I thank you?
Just say you're going to have a little dancing here tonight. And invite those salesmen I heard about. That will be adequate.
See you tonight, Clara. It'll be every man for himself.
Now you're talking. Well, I'll see you tonight. It's time for my little beauty nap. I wonder if it can be.
Well, girls, we just saw Mom solve one mighty big problem with one dandy little idea.
She's really something.
But tell me, Billy Joe, what are you going to do about your big, hot, sizzling romance with Sonny? You're going to need an awful big idea to solve that one. Didn't I tell you? I solved it. Sonny! There she is.
Oh, your sister explained that you're more my type, and I agree.
Wait a minute, Sonny.
Oh, we share the same interests. Astrology, stamp collecting, Wiener Schnitzel.
Astrology, stamp collecting, Wiener Schnitzel? Oh, Billy Joe, you here? Wait a minute, back, fella, back. Now, listen, we'll talk about it later. See you around, huh? I really think you're a nice guy, but later.
Oh, for crying out loud, where are you going?
To get my track shoes.
Peoticoat Junction. This has been a Filmways presentation.